Hello, everybody. This is Pete from PA Labs. And if you read today's post, you'll know I'm back from vacation and I want to do a couple of videos on this awesome little tool. This is called the uh, Toolkit for Baldur's Gate. I believe it'll play 1 and 2, and you can open it up and it opens up the database of Baldur's Gate and exposes what's inside, which is pretty cool. So you have in CRE is short for creatures. There's 1,728 creatures in here. There's all the graphics and scripts and sounds and wave files and talking and all of that kind of stuff's in here. And the cool thing is, it lets you export them. So I got to playing around with this on vacation since I didn't have any internet. And so I wanted to show you some of the stuff that I've learned here. Uh, this is called Near Infinity. Baldur's Gate. I've opened up Baldur's Gate 2. So I managed to get both of these installed on my laptop before I left. Baldur's Gate you can pick up right now on GOG Games, GOG.com for like $2. And the Near Infinity toolkit is free. So I don't know if they have a Windows version. This is definitely Linux. So they give you select a creature over here, and it's got all the stats you can read over here. I've kind of played around with the settings and got it to where you guys can read it easily, and I can read it easily. So you can see it's got all the stats in here of how the different creatures are set up. You've got his items and spells and stuff like that. And you can actually come in here and edit things and change things and create new and do stuff like that. So it shows the animation. Now I have the character zoomed. That's its real size. So I'm going to zoom it, but I want to show it in the browser, because in the browser we can open this up and say, let's boom him up to 300%, and we have sequences. Sequence are animations. So we can say, let's watch him get hit, and he's facing south. So we can loop this so you'll see him get hit, all his different getting hits. And that's like 15 frames a second or whatever. So there's like, I don't know how many frames there are. There's 5 frames in that one. Getting combat ready has 10 frames per each. So you can see him get hit. You can have him walk. That's kind of cool. So he walks along, and those are 11 frames apiece. And you can have him walk in any direction that you like. He can walk away from us. We can make him walk in a circle. There we go. And we can come back and have him go northeast. So he just walks away however direction you want. And also we have attacks. So we have attacks where he's slapping you. And that looks to be, I couldn't say, 13 frames each or so. We have a secondary attack for this guy, where he takes his arm off and smacks you with his arm. I think that's kind of cute. But the neat thing is you can export. So if we come back up here to, let's go with, we have sleeping and dying. Dying is kind of cute. And he falls down. And so that's the animations. But you can export these. It just keeps getting better. You can export all of this and say, give me it as a PNG file where each individual frame is a different image of in the PNG, or you can say export this as each frame is a PNG. Okay. Now you can export more than that. You can export various other things. This is the directory structure of where you can export. So you have that, which is pretty nice. So personally, I got to thinking about that, and I started playing more with this, and we can change his color. Let's see if he has a skin color of this gold thing here. We can come out here and let's go ahead and change it to, I don't know, let's pick a green. How about that? That's quite different. So we can apply that to him. So now he's a green zombie. Or maybe you want him to be a graded red zombie. So now he's a red zombie. You can change his shirt color too. So we can come over here and give him a nice pretty blue shirt. How about that? So he's got a blue shirt. You can change his pants. You can change all of him. It's pretty cool. And when you're all done, you can reset him and say, yeah, no, I don't want you to change him. Whoops. I said no, didn't I? Okay. So he's back to what he was normally. Okay. So now in here you have, 1,700 creatures. You have some, these that are in bold, are interesting because these guys, let me go ahead and zoom that. These guys, you can actually change his armor. You can put him in, let's put him in chainmail or helmet and chainmail. How about that? So now he's in a helmet and chainmail, and you can change his shield and weapon, and the animations then are now in here in that one. Hold on, let's see. These standing ones are huge. So we can have him die in the armor. How about that? Blah! And down he goes. So he conjures spells, so he can conjure up his spells. And he's got, we can cast. Let's see what cast does. Cast a spell for us. That's kind of silly. He's got a backslash. So you'd have to give him a sword for that. So he's got like every animation in the book, which is 3 attacks and 4 or 5 spells, because the first one doesn't count. And then it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0 to 4 or 1 to 5, whatever you want to do. That most characters have 2 standing options. They all have combat ready, get hit, die. All of them have, I think, 2 standings. One is just a regular stand there, and the other is, let's go ahead and play him. So we have this where he's just kind of standing there looking around, kind of stupid. And then we have this one where he's got even more movement. So you have 2 different options of stands. And those are relatively big. A lot of those have like 70 frames. So this is a really, really cool little tool. So I got to thinking about how this could be utilized in Pure Basic. And that, of course, brought me to something to horseplay with while I was on the cruise. And I started playing around with, let's go with Adventure 3 here. So if we come out here and look at the animations, this is the raw animation of some of the ones that I exported. I exported a lot. Let's look at this spider. He's pretty cool. So spider animations, this is each individual frame as an individual PNG file. So you have the character's name, what is the action, what is the animation, so attack 2, we have walk, and then the direction that it's facing, and then a incremented number, and then .png. So there are, oh goodness, let's back up, let's see. in the spider, we have 769 frames, individual images that make up the spider, moving in all directions, all the attacks, all of that sort of thing. Some of these have substantially more. The skeleton with a sword and shield has 1,400 images. That's a lot of stuff. So it kind of becomes almost unusable at that size. So I got to thinking about that, and that's where code comes in, right? Because there's a lot of similarities. So I built what I call as an animation object, and then down here at the bottom, I define what my animation object is. So we have a creature anime object, and at the parent level, you have a creature name. That's really all that it contains. And then you have a collection of categories, and categories are the animations. Now, all creatures have an animation walk through animation sleep. So 0 through 8, or 1 to 9, 0 through 8 on this list are the same for everybody. So that can literally be indexed in your code. So if you want him to walk is 0, so you would grab 0, and then that would give you all of the walks. Within walk, you then have a collection of direction. So that would be direction, and then 0 to 7 are the different directions that you walk. And so at the top of this little script here, I define both of those. So the directions, if we come up here and look at the enumeration, this is the exact same order as using square hexes, okay? The square grid. That's the exact same order of the square grid and direction for 8, for the 8 different directions. And so I also added in categories, so we have the category list here. And these are all of the categories that are possible. Again, everybody has sleep to walk. And then after that, you have to say, okay, you're going to need to spin them and say, what is the ID, so I know what the ID is to be able to do this. So that's what I was building, and I got to playing around it. It loads pretty quick and ends up, let's go look at some of the ending results here. If we come back here, we have creatures. This is where I outputted them. So an entire skeleton object is 224 kilobytes, and some of the great big ones are 360, 370 kilobytes, actually almost 370. Some of the shaman, he was huge. He's got all those spells and stuff to cast, and he ended up in the 500 range. So they're pretty big objects, but the neat thing is I could now create an entire army of skeletons, and all of my skeletons have a reference to the one single skeleton with archer, and a whole bunch of them with crossbow, and a whole bunch of them with daggers. And so I have 4 objects in memory, and I have 10 creatures using these depending on what they're doing. So you could actually build quite an army and only have a few things in memory. Maybe you only want 1 shaman, and then you need minions with swords, or maybe a couple of them with bows and arrows. And so you can put all of them in there, but only have 4 sets of the images in memory. So that makes it reusable and therefore efficient in use of memory. Each individual uh, guy on your screen is referencing their own instance of this the skeleton with an art as an archer. And so I built a bunch of these just thinking in terms of having a adventure game where we have lots of bad guys that you got to fight and kill. And I got to the point that I wanted to go ahead and do an export. So I have an export here, and we can export into a single folder of your skeleton sword. This is the blue guy using blue 068 coloring on his body. So if we want to see the backslash animation, then here's the uh, sprite sheet of the animation of doing a backslash with his sword. So you would then bring this in off the object and put it into your character and then iterate the images that you're doing here. You could actually just kind of go across the sprite sheet with painting images in a graphic screen. You could then move him and walk him and that kind of thing. You could play the animation as he moves. All of these are in there, and you can have him die. Interesting on the dying and the sleep, and I've tested this. Sleep is one that kind of stands out. If you look at the sprite sheet, he falls down and everything goes flying, and then he's dead. And then the last frame is him standing up again. Uh, and that is how these are written, to where that's he's back up on dying and he's back up on sleeping and a few of the others where I would think this would be the first frame, and then it goes through that and it stops on this he's dead on the floor. It doesn't seem to be that way. I'm debating on whether I should change that and make this the first frame on these that do that. There's only a few that do that. Sleeping and dying does that. Twitching works. I mean, there's only 2 frames on twitching. Walking northeast, here he is. So you can go to here, and here's him walking to the northeast. And so this makes it usable in a game. Also, these are quite scalable, so you can make them great big and zoom them up if you wanted to show rank by physical size. So the images themselves are, let's go ahead and get it back down to normal size. They're 100%. So these are 72 tall, and they're not square, but that's okay, because every set of animations can be different. So in the code here, we have your category. Under the category thing, you have the category ID, and then you have the actual frame height and width of how to read the frames, and then direction is by index. So if you went with direction 0, you would need to cross-reference 0 up here, which I think it is northwest. Oh no, southeast is 0. So you would just reference that based upon the frame itself as to what direction you want him to walk. And then you can move him in your code to match. And the code that you're using is the same code as the grid itself. So this becomes quite a usable object and a usable thing. So anyhow, if there's any interest in this, let me know. I'll put my code out there and you guys can download it and play with it. Like I said, the tool itself is called Near Infinity, and it basically takes apart the Baldur's Gate object. And now I'm sure there's all kinds of rules and regs that you're not supposed to plagiarize any of this or whatnot. You can't sell it. You can't do that kind of stuff. But there's nothing stopping us from using it, acknowledging that where we got our graphics or what have you, and then it's free. I don't think there's any big issue in that. So, anyhow, this is quite the tool. I've had a whole lot of fun with it. There's an awful lot. There's a wyvern in here. We can have I think he might. Let's see if we can get him. Yeah. So you can have flying creatures in here as well. It's pretty slick. Um, we have wizards of every shape and description. Let's see. Like I said, the ones that are in dark, I believe, are big characters in the game itself. Personally, I've never played the game. I bought this for my son on our GOG account, and he has played it from cover to cover several times. But these guys that are in bold, you can put anything with them, and it shows up in the animation, and then you can then get the animation with that. So any armor, any helmet, any weapon. So it's pretty slick. So what is sugar? Oh, sugar. Oh, yeah. There's harlots in here. There's sleeping women. Let's see. We have slaves and skeletons. We have lots of skeletons. There's a whole bunch of skeletons. We have bandits. There's goodness gracious, every kind. We have rats. Oh, that would be a good one to have in there too. Where did I see rat? R-A-T. There you are. We have rats. Ooh, rat 2. There you are. Wow, and that's zoomed. Those would be pretty small. We'd have to make them ROUSs, rodents of unusual size. And then we have Rashad, whoever he is, and Provost. Oh no, that's prostitute. So these are prostitutes. So we have Oompa. I don't know. These are people's names. Everybody's got a name in here. So we have nobles. They normally just have just minor things, commoners. Yeah, this has it's quite the size. These are cool. So let's have him walk. So you can see a doppelganger, how he's mirrored like that. That's pretty cool. Here's another one, different color. I don't want to see him standing. So he's cool looking. We have he's a character, I believe. He doesn't come with anything, but you can put it, like I said, you can put anything on him. So yeah, there's 1,700, almost 1,800 creatures in here. Dogs, bears, wolves. Boy, I tell you, there's a lot of stuff here. Did I just see fish? No, I guess not. We have cults, people, and crew. I guess that is some sort of naval vessel or something. Maybe it's a bad guy crew or something. Oh, look, they're carrying a boat. Okay. Anyhow, there's all kinds of creatures. So, something to definitely think about if you're in the mood for building an adventure game. And I think that might be my next tackling point is to go back into my adventure game. I have an adventure game that's text adventure, and I'm wanting to redo him and introduce images and graphics to it, and then have you travel between points on a map, and then have encounters, kind of a D&D style adventure game, which is kind of crossing over. It would use square grid, which all of these use square grid, so that this kind of lends itself to be a possible source of where to get graphics for those of us who can't draw. Here's a bear. Look, we have polar bears. We have bats, birds. You have a lot of bards. They all seem to be rather big guys. We have creatures, whatever that is. A basil, B-A-S-I-L-L. A basilga is a brown one. And then we have a bar wolf. What is that? Let's see him walk. So, oh, he's pretty fierce looking. That looks like a pretty fierce critter to run into. So anyhow, You would obviously have to come up with stats and fighting and all of that sort of thing. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I think that this could be quite the resource. They have more than creatures in here. Like I said, they have all the sounds. You have to own the game, and then you can download the tool. So we have the characters here, huh? So your character animation. So these are your actual characters in the game. That's cool. We have bitmaps, the pictures of everybody. Lots and lots of those. Got 1,100 of those. What are these? These are weird. It's like they're parts of pictures that move. If you see how some of these kind of go together. I haven't quite figured out what a BAM actually is. It's some sort of bitmap. But we have dialogue. We have the conversations between people, and you have the questions and answers. If you've ever had to write a dialogue sequence, this gives you a good heads up on how to go about it. All the different fields that you would need. The background musics, the musics of swords, and all of this is in here. So dreams, and they have all kind of stuff in here. It's pretty cool. You can kind of pillage around and check things out. You can export just about everything, and so it's a definite resource for if you're in the mood for adventure gaming. So that pretty much is the conclusion of this video. I've beat this to death over the last half hour at least. So check it out. Pretty neat tool. It's called Near Infinity Toolset for the Baldur's Gate. And like I said, it opens up 1 and 2. So evidently Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 use the same graphic set and same basic concept and database. So this is a opening into their database of how things work. Pretty slick. So that really concludes this video, and as always, thanks for watching.